This message is for YouTube and YouTube bots. YouTube, this is educational content. It is a true crime case. Please note that this is educational content and we provide commentary to further break this down. Hey guys, if you missed it earlier, we were live talking about Margarita Avina, Vanessa Avina's mother, and the interview that she did with the Sun. Now, I decided to clip it and cut it down in a smaller portion of the live earlier. If you missed the live earlier, make sure you check it out. Somebody was reporting the live, so I got a little bit of a flag on it. Again, this is educational content. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. How do you guys feel about that? I know I have people here from different walks of life who have difference of opinions as it pertains to Vanessa Avina and this 10-week-old baby, and what Jake Haro did. This is a case that I think pulls the heartstrings of many people. So, just my thoughts on Margarita Avina. Let's go. Abusive home. Terrifying new details about devil dad Jake Haro, whose abuse left daughter disabled, are revealed by ex-mom-in-law. Ex-mom-in-law would be, so if we're talking about the second marriage that Jake Haro had. He was married to Vanessa Avina, right? So this would be Vanessa's mom who's speaking out. The U.S. Sun spoke to Margarita Avina, whose daughter was previously married to the accused killer. A father accused of murdering his 7-month-old son has been branded the devil by his former mother-in-law after he left his older daughter with brain damage years before. Jake Haro, 32, and his wife Rebecca, 41, have denied killing their son, Emmanuel, who went missing earlier this month in what they initially said was an abduction. Okay, these are the mugs. So then we get this picture of this woman right here who's crying. Margarita Avina, the mother of Vanessa Avina, whose child was left severely disabled after an incident with ex-husband Jake Haro in 2018. So she's crying. It recently emerged that the dad had a 2023 felony conviction for child cruelty, stemming from an arrest in Hemet, California, while he was married to his ex-wife, Vanessa Avina. And to be very clear, they were both charged. It wasn't just Jake. She was charged as well. Okay, so this is interesting. Let's see. On October 13, 2018, their 10-week-old daughter was admitted to the hospital, and doctors told police that the little girl had an acute rib fracture, six ribs with healing fractures, a skull fracture, brain hemorrhage, swelling of the neck, and a fractured leg bone that was healing. An officer wrote in the affidavit for a warrant that findings were indicative of abuse, head trauma, physical child abuse, and nutritional neglect. Jake reportedly blamed the baby's bruises on Rebecca. We read that 2018, arrest affidavit. Both eventually pled guilty to the charges in 2023, but escaped jail. Following his arrest, Vanessa's mother, Margarita Avina, gave an emotional interview to the U.S. Sun about her granddaughter's terrifying ordeal. So I knew he would do something like this again. Jake Haro's former mother-in-law claims. Says they blame my daughter, but Jake is the devil, Margarita claims as she broke down in tears. And he gets away with murmur. He got away with what he did to my granddaughter. The little girl, now a 7-year-old, was adopted by Vanessa's cousin along with another son. Margarita said, I always wanted justice. I leave it to God. I think this is justice, but this didn't have to happen to baby Emmanuel. I knew he would do something like this again. This poor baby, it's been traumatizing, but I knew he would do it. Look what he did to my granddaughter. I hope he pays. He has destroyed lives. Although Vanessa eventually pled guilty, her mother claims that she was abused by Jake and would never have harmed their children or their child, insisting she wasn't in her right mind. My daughter is nothing compared to what they are saying, she said. It's very, very upsetting. It hurts. Okay. This Jake arrest brings back everything that happened. I can't even sleep. I don't think my daughter was all there. He would tell her that nobody loved her. She was abused. I would grab her and say, you need to leave. You need to do something. She could never do anything. My daughter would never touch her kids. She has another kid. You would see how she is with this kid. If the baby even has a scratch, my daughter is still going through this, not having her children. She wanted her kids. Vanessa, through her mother, has declined to comment on the case and has allegedly hired a lawyer as she speaks to police about her experience with her ex. A warrant from 2018 incident alleges Vanessa had left her home to drop another child to school and return 40 minutes later. Interesting. Jake claimed that the baby had a fever and that he gave her Tylenol, after which he put her down. Okay. Mind you, she was drinking while she was pregnant. Okay. She was drinking while she was pregnant.
Now, I was informed that Vanessa did drink while she was pregnant with her, but despite that, she was born healthy. She didn't have any problems until she was beaten. Now, this little boy is named Carlos, but his original name was Jake Haro II. He's Jake and Vanessa's older child, and the cousin has custody of him too. And he was born with fetal alcohol syndrome.
The document claims that Jake eventually admitted to Vanessa that he had dropped the child in the sink and her chest hit the center divider of the dual basin, but she never showed any signs of injury. They allegedly went to bed hours later, but Vanessa then woke him up in the middle of the night, claiming something was wrong with the baby. Margarita alleged that Jake only told Vanessa he dropped the baby after she woke him up. I got a call at 5 o'clock in the morning. She says, Mom, I'm in the hospital. The baby doesn't want to feed. She was breastfeeding. She said Jake didn't want me to bring the baby. I think the baby was convulsing like a seizure. And that's when she called me. Like, she's like, Mom, you need to come and take care of my kids. It's bad. Mom, just come. I go over there. She called me again and said Jake had admitted to dropping the baby. I'm like, what? Why didn't he tell you that from the beginning? Jake switched and threatened her and said, I'm going to make sure they take your kids away and you die in jail. When they went to the hospital in Hemet, the doctor said the baby had fractured bones. They took her to another hospital and I guess used fluorescent lights and saw marks on her neck and stuff. He shook the baby. When my daughter found all that out, she was like, what did you do to my baby? What did you do? She'd taken the baby to the doctor before because there were brown patches underneath her eyes. She didn't know what was wrong with her, but they said everything was fine. There was nothing wrong with her. Margarita claims that she tried to get the previous medical records for the child for her court case, but could not obtain them. The grandmother alleges Vanessa lived with her until she fell pregnant with her and Jake's first child. She was unaware for months that they were secretly married. Okay, how come Vanessa's not talking about the fact that she was drinking while pregnant? She said, I couldn't talk to her. I couldn't see her. He isolated her from the family. He didn't want to work. He didn't want her to work. She used to work in Walmart at the Vision Center. She was a good worker and met her there. Sometimes I would go and visit her. She wouldn't even open the door. So I didn't know if she was bruised, beaten up. I would try to take food and she would make excuses that they weren't home. Sometimes I blamed myself. Margarita claims that her daughter was never believed, and she eventually pled guilty and served community service and had to attend child engagement. I think it meant to say endangerment classes, but they said engagement classes. The grandmother said they were allowed visits to the children for a while, but they fell out with the cousin who adopted them and have not been for 2 years. Oh, so grandma fell out with the cousin who adopted the children. Y'all, look at this. Margarita claims that she was desperate to adopt them and bought a bigger house, thinking that she would get them back. She said, we miss the children. My daughter is missing her kids. Margarita saw the interview of Jake appearing distressed on TV with his new wife, Rebecca, after their son went missing, but she says she didn't believe their story or fake tears. She said, I saw all of that. I knew he was lying. He's a liar and a manipulator. This opened old wounds. To me, I wouldn't want him to be sentenced to death. That's an easy way out. I want him to go to prison for the rest of his life. Jake and Rebecca are each charged with felony murder and malice, along with additional misdemeanor charges of making a false police report. They remain in custody on a $1 million bail and have denied Kane, their son, through jail interviews. Their official arraignment is September 4th at 8:30 a.m., which y'all know we will be live for, but I also have another hearing on that day, believe it or not. For those that are following the Alexi Treviso, she has a hearing on that date. Margarita says Vanessa, who also has an older child from a previous relationship along with their baby, struggles to get her life back on track, but is now doing well. Okay, hold up, Margarita. Margarita says Vanessa, who also has an older child from a previous relationship along with her new baby, struggled to get her life back. She says, I talk to my daughter every day to see how she's doing. She says, she's got her own place and everything. She works again and has a new partner, her baby daddy, but she doesn't let anyone be with her kids. I think, thank you. I think that she is in denial, probably a lot of enabling. I think Mama Margarita did a lot of enabling of her daughter, okay? Some of these grandparents need to step out and say something or do something. Don't come back crying after the facts when they really know what's going on. I do wonder. And you know what? If for all we know, the cousin who adopted her grandchildren, she's probably being protective. I've seen that happen so many times where they're like when there's a family adoption within the family because somebody fell out or somebody did something to those children, they have to like completely sever ties from that family, whether it's the grandma, the mom, or the father, because of the fact that they have to be protective of those children. They have to be protective. They can't be having you say things about their parents or anything like that. Nothing. They have to be protective. So that distance, I think, is a way of protecting. She's like, well, we fell out, and I haven't talked to those kids in 2 years. I think she's being protective. I've seen it happen way too many times. Yes, reality is difficult for some people, but these people all need a huge dose of it. Take responsibility for your actions. And she's like, grandma, or at least, again, she's no longer grandma. I mean, she's grandma, but honestly, like, if they were adopted, their names were changed. Let me tell you, those children's names were changed. You know why? Because they wanted to cut ties with that aspect of that life, of that abuse. Okay. So sometimes it's like, yeah, like that is the best way. It might hurt you, but the best way is to isolate from that family because I don't want Margarita around the children talking about your mom still loves you, your mom this and your mom that, when it's like, we don't know. We don't know anything, right? And that's a hard step to take. The person that is doing the arrangement for the adoptions, this is heavy on them, okay? Because if that was a cousin that she grew up with, think about it. There's just a lot that goes into this. I'm adopting her children. Well, you know what? I got to take care of her children. I'm telling you right now, Vanessa Avina is not paying any kind of support if this is a legal adoption. Her rights were terminated, right? So she's not even supporting these kids. Okay? She's not. Neither is the grandmother. There's nothing. And think about the amount of money and support that it takes to take care of Promise Faith. Okay? Think about that. That's money right there that goes into take like this 7-year-old can't is not self-sufficient. She can't take care. She needs somebody there. So if all you're doing is bringing in Vanessa Avina to see the child that she lost her rights to, what is that doing emotionally? What is that doing for everybody? Vanessa didn't protect her children. It sounds like she also participated in the abuse because don't forget that the oldest child was also FAS, fetal alcohol syndrome. She was drinking while she was pregnant. These kids are so like there's a blessing when the adoption occurs within the family. When a family member steps up and says, I'm not going to let, because anything could have happened to Promise Faith. Somebody could have taken her and just saw her as a paycheck. You know what I mean? And just be like, well, I'm getting paid to take care of this baby, so I'm just going to do that. No. Not only did she adopt Promise Faith, but she also adopted the oldest one, who she changed the last name to. So yes, like it's sad to see grandma really upset crying there, but with her saying that the oldest cousin cut her off, it's for a reason, y'all. It's for a reason. Absolutely. So yeah, a 10-week-old baby, all a 10-week-old baby can do is cry and cry because it's in pain. Like that's all the baby can do. And here's the deal: if Vanessa Avina was breastfeeding this baby, okay, the baby had this 10-week-old baby had fractures that were healing, bones that were healing. You mean to tell me that the baby was only fussy that one time and it wasn't fussy before that? You mean to tell me that you took the baby to the doctor and were reporting that there was some brownish under her eyes, but you didn't notice anything else? Like, let me tell you something, man. I'm not taking my baby to a pediatrician if I'm trying to breastfeed her. It cannot. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Even what Margarita Avina is saying, the excuses that she's making for her daughter. She tried to breastfeed her, and then there was this one time that he threw her down the sink when this child, 10-week-old child, had a multitude of healing fractures. Thank you. Can't even say the right word. Not fractions, fractures. Healing fractures. It doesn't make sense. So Margarita Avina, I think, is also making excuses for her daughter. Like I said, I know I'm being very harsh, but it's like her defending her daughter when it's like, I'm sure it didn't go down like that, girl. I'm sure she was abused. But if she was breastfeeding, when you're breastfeeding a baby, and I breastfed my children too, you could feel it. You could feel it when their stomach is upset. You can feel it when there's something going on. You could feel like when your baby's got a fever, you could feel it. And some of this is like healing bones and stuff like that. I don't know. And it's the same with the DA. All these people are doing is that they're passing the buck, okay? My opinions are my opinions, right? And I know that there's so much we don't know. Every situation is different. And I truly do believe that there was definitely some DV, right? In that situation. I feel like even Rebecca is a victim of it as well, and she's covering for her husband. Okay, but at the same time, I think we're all entitled to our opinions, and you guys let me know what you all think. If you have found yourself in a situation like this, either as a friend, a relative, however it may have been, how did you deal with it? What did you do? I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.